we're going to look at one simple way to set up a fixed abseil rope. This video is simply showing the setting up process. It was filmed at Traumatic in North Wales, but we show principles that can be adapted to most situations. Get a handle on these key principles and you'll be in a better place to make good decisions when it comes to abseiling. We end up abseiling a lot. For example, on sea cliffs where it's impossible to walk to the base, often just to speed up getting down the cliff and onto the next route for the day, or sometimes to retrieve a stuck nut or cam. Before we get into an example, first ask yourself, do we actually need to abseil here? If it's possible to scramble easily around to the bottom, that is often actually faster, and remember that abseiling statistically is a really dangerous part of any day climbing, so if you can simply avoid it, then that's great. First of all, take a moment to look at the bigger picture. What's the belay going to look like once you've finished? Ask questions like, which part of the edge do I want the rope to run over? In general, what's the rock like? Soft, sharp, loose, blocky? Are you going to be in a safe place while you're setting up the ropes? What are the available anchors? Are there big trees, obvious nut placements, bolts? What's the simplest and most robust solution? Taking a moment to answer these questions while you uncoil the rope will speed up the rigging process overall. To keep it efficient, start with the anchor furthest away from the edge. This is a good small nut placement. Will is attaching one end of the abseil rope to it using a double figure of 8 and screw gate carabiner. Back on the safe ledge and still away from the edge, Will places a good second nut. Now we want to join these two pieces together using the rope so that they will share the abseiler's weight as evenly as possible. We're going to equalize the pieces. We also want to make sure that if one of the pieces does for any reason fail, there's no sudden introduction of slack rope into the system. We're going to make them independent. So to do this, simply measure out a bight of rope back to the second nut, tie an overhand knot on the bight, creating an independent loop that's about the right length so that both pieces are going to take weight. We can see that it makes the two pieces independent. The rope would stay tight even if one anchor failed. The overhand knot is really easy to adjust once tied to get the equalization just right. To add further redundancy into the belay, we're now going to add a third piece using the exact same process. Choose a good anchor. Measure out a bight of rope. Consider the eventual direction of pull and tie a well-dressed or neat overhand knot. So now we have three good pieces of gear in the belay, 3 nuts in this case. They're equalized for the direction they're going to be loaded and they're independent. Another consideration is the angle we've created. If it's very wide, the load on the belay is actually increased. So aim for an angle of 60 degrees or less. That's the belay sorted. This is the first time now that we've needed to approach the edge, so it's prudent to attach yourself to the rope. It's not cool to fall off having just built a really good belay. Will's attached safely using a clove hitch to his harness. If you get smooth at adjusting this hitch, it works well for getting to the edge where we can hopefully see the base of the cliff. You could also use a prusik for this. Running the rope through will shake out any tangles and we're inspecting the rope for any obvious damage. Now this knot at the end of the rope is important. If for some reason the rope doesn't reach the base, this simple figure of 8 or stopper will stop you slipping off the end of the rope and falling. This is a simple way of avoiding an accident that happens to climbers every year. There are some situations where you might choose not to do this, but it's a safe habit to get into. Take a few coils, and before throwing the rope, check it's not going to land on someone's head. Shout a big rope below and actually wait to hear if there's a response before you throw the rope. Ideally, you want to see the rope touch the ground. Attaching to the rope and abseiling isn't actually covered in this setting up video, but one of the earlier considerations was about the edge of the rock. So as you weight the abseil, take that moment to seat the rope in a nice smooth spot, or decide you need to protect the rope using a bag or rope protector. It's really scary to watch people not paying attention to their rope on the edge. So in summary, the main principles of setting up a fixed line abseil are to keep yourself safe at the top, select really good strong anchors, equalize them in the direction of load, and ensure they're independent of each other. Tie knots in the end of your abseil ropes, and manage the rope on the edge carefully. So that is a simple system, but it's a lot to remember and consider when you're starting out. Of course, there are lots of other ways to achieve a safe system, but these are good principles, applicable to most situations you're going to encounter out and about. Practice in safe environments. Tying to the kitchen table legs is a great way to practice, and then climbing with experienced people, or even better, join us on a course here in North Wales. Have fun climbing, we hope you found that useful, and thanks for watching.